大家好，我是 PwC 台湾资诚的李宜樺会计师。Hi everyone, I'm PwC Taiwan Sustainability Service Leader Eliza Lee. The Integrated Reporting Framework was released in December 2013 by the IIRC to help companies across the world consider more holistic reporting framework. PwC Taiwan Education Foundation and BCSD Taiwan are delighted to be working in collaboration with the IIRC to launch our traditional Chinese translation of the IR framework. I'm delighted to have Paul Druckman, CEO of the IIRC here to share with his valuable insights on integrated reporting. So Paul, can you tell us what the benefits of integrated reporting for companies?
Well, I think the key benefits depends on the stage that the company is within its own shell, within its own working. So for those companies that are creating value, and I will use that term many times in the next few minutes, those companies that are creating value and understand how they do that and how they do that through their business model, then what integrated reporting allows them to do is to articulate that story to the market and to others, which is a significant benefit. Now, those companies who are not in that position, and so the jargon we use is integrated thinking, so they don't have integrated thinking, then integrated reporting can be a catalyst for them to think about how do things join up, how does it connect, and how do they create value as an organization. So I think those are the key benefits, and we see that all the time from the different types of organizations.
So what are the key components of integrated reporting?
Well, there are, I can speak for 40 minutes about this, but I know you only want me to speak for a short period of time. But let me, if I can, just pick up on three key components as I would use. The first is I've already used that term value creation. And it's really important to understand that when a business is creating value, creating profitability, creating brand awareness, creating products that have a life cycle, it is more than just the financial transactions that is the value that's created. And we refer to that as, we call it the 6 capitals. Okay, and those 6 capitals, just to list them, are financial capital, which we all understand, the transactions that occur. What we call manufactured capital, which is more the infrastructure. From transport links to digital systems. Then the third is human capital, which is a horrible term for you and I, the people that are involved in the organization. Intellectual capital. So I come from a software world. And intellectual capital to me is around software components and and the actual underlying software that we build. Natural capital, which is the environment piece, which picks up on the ESG, the sustainability world, and social, what we call social and relationship, which is the piece about communities, but also there's significant value in relationship with customers, suppliers, and others. So that's the one piece. The second piece is about connecting those together, which is, when I look at companies reporting and I look at companies' business models, the biggest weakness you usually find in companies is they operate in silos. And I'm sure all the companies in the audience today will recognize parts of that, and because it's very difficult. What integrated thinking and the integrated report tries to do is to connect those silos. And the third component is, I use this phrase quite often, is that what we're looking at is for investors or providers of capital or those that are interested in the business to look at the business through what I call the doorway of strategy rather than the weeds of data.
Okay.
So often, if you take a portfolio investor, they will just look at a series of data points and make a decision on a company. But that is, that means that you lead into very short-term decision making and that whole scenario. So what we're talking about with integrated reporting is looking at the holistic picture of the strategy of the business. And then, of course, the performance indicators are key to see if that strategy is successful.
Okay. So, Paul, can you also share with us the IIRC perspective about the future of integrated reporting?
Well, we're quite clear about this, is that we see the integrated report, okay, and I know people often hear me say, but integrated reporting to me is about the thinking in the business and the report. But if we take the report piece, what we're quite clear about is that that this will become the annual report of the company. And the other relevant reports like IFRS and G4 and all the other, human rights and all the other things, governance, all of those are the detail, but the overview, the umbrella, if you like, is integrated reporting. So it doesn't replace, but it brings it together. And so to us, the core report of a business is the integrated report. And we would see that as being the primary document for the market.
Are there specific benefits of Taiwanese company if they adopt integrated reporting?
Well, I would say so. And I think that there's a sort of broader remit to that, but there's also a narrower one. So Taiwan is known for the ICT sector, the information technology sector. And there is no question, because I come from that world, as I explained before, and there's no question in my mind that there is bound to be value that is not, that the capital markets are not aware of in that sector. For example, software components. That doesn't sit in a balance sheet. It doesn't, most software is written off in the year that it's written, but the year that it's incurred. But in fact, it has a longevity and a value. If you take brand, there are brands in Taiwan that are well known across the world, right? And how much of that value is actually intrinsic in their share price and in the business itself? How are they performing against the brand values that they have and things like that? The expertise that sits in companies and the infrastructure in Taiwan, as I understand it, by no means an expert, but as I understand it, is such that is all incredibly valuable, and yet the market doesn't know it. So there's hidden value, and so the bigger piece of that is that if you just take that ICT sector, imagine the inward investment and the potential escalation of value in Taiwanese companies that integrated reporting could present. Because at the moment, how does that company tell its story about why it's more valuable? There's no vehicle for that. And that's what I think integrated reporting, I think that's the key component of benefit for Taiwan. But always take into account that I'm just picking one specific thing.
Thank you, Paul. So for the last question, what advice would you give Taiwanese company considering adopting integrated reporting? Okay.
Well, I'm not a consultant, so let's start at that point. I think that there was a wonderful piece that saying that came from our conference of the pilot companies, the 100+ companies that started with us creating the framework and creating integrated reporting. And the outcome of a big workshop on the sort of final pilot company conference, one of the main findings was get started. Just start. Because it's one of those things that it's quite hard to define a detailed project plan.
Yes.
Because we've got companies, the likes of Unilever, the likes of Philips in the Netherlands, Itaú Unibanco in Brazil, DBS Bank in Singapore, who do really, really good integrated reports. You speak to their teams, they're saying, oh, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do that, the other. And they get more enthusiastic the more they do it. But to me, the key is to get started. And in fact, one of the most interesting things that we found through now, more than 1,000 companies doing integrated reporting across the world, what we found is they often are quite a long way down the road, they just don't recognize it. Because integrated reporting is not brand new. We haven't suddenly invented something that the world has never heard of. It may be the term is new, and the way that we've crafted it with the 6 capitals may be new, but the principles of good reporting and good business are all we're doing is allowing the company to tell that story.
Yes,
so my advice is start with a champion, a senior champion in the organization, and get the different groups together, investor relations, companies, company secretary, finance, sustainability, operations. Get them to communications, get them together and start saying, what is the story we want to tell? Because they know it. It's just a matter of putting it together. It's not as hard as it seems.
Okay, I see. Oh, thank you very much, Paul, for your time and sharing your thought with us. Thank you.
Great pleasure.